Welcome, welcome. We are starting our last Q&A session of the series. Today we're going to be talking to Dany Kora, who is a music therapist, graduated from Berklee College of Music and currently in Turkey. Today, Danny's going to be sharing a little bit about his experiences in setting up migrant programs for Syrian refugees a few years ago. So we are transmitting on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on all the platforms, just to make sure that you get the information about how music therapy helps Syrian refugees, people in migrant situations, and a bunch of different scenarios across a lot of different countries. So I'm going to add Danny to the Instagram Live, and I'm going to welcome him now into our stream. Hello, Danny, are you there?
Yep, Marlen, I'm here. How are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Good. I'm just trying to get stuff set up really quick. Okay. I think
Wonderful.
it's good to go.
Wonderful. So actually, I think we may have a little bit of uh,
Hi. Yeah, I
a
got you.
sound.
I got you. Okay, I think I took care of it.
You got it?
I
Can you
think
hear
so.
me?
Yeah.
Can everybody hear us? Give us a thumbs up if you can hear us.
Yeah,
Wonderful. All right. So Danny, how are you today?
yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I've been sick for the past week or so, so my voice is a little bit rough.
I
But I'm
appreciate you.
okay. Thanks.
So tell us about yourself. How did you get started in music therapy and specifically in music therapy and migrant care in Turkey?
Well, I studied music therapy at Berklee College of Music from 2002 to 2008, 2007, 8. And, you know, first, like when I was at Berkeley, I had to choose my major and stuff. And I thought to do the film scoring major because I'm also a composer. Uh, but then I thought to myself that it's a bit too like remote and isolated kind of work, and I wanted to do something that's more personable and more social with people. And so I found the music therapy major, and I thought it was a great fit for me. And then I ended up going through the program and completing it. And
So
then,
then how did you move to Turkey?
well, my mother's side is Turkish, so I have family here actually. So I had, after Berkeley, I had to choose between America and Turkey, and at that time, I felt that there were more opportunities in Turkey, so I ended up moving here, and I've been here since like 2008.
That's amazing. So tell us a little bit about how then, you moved to Turkey, you're trying to find work as a music therapist. How did you land in migrant care?
Um, well, actually, like in 2011, this war in Syria started up, and then I actually didn't start this program. There's an art therapist, Leila Akça, who started this program in association with Maya Foundation. And my wife was actually part of that program as a dance movement therapist, and she brought me on board the program. And so they had already, made all the details of how the program would function and everything like that. And basically I just came on as a support as a music therapist from with the, to support as a music therapist. But we wrote the program together to for so that it would function, outside of the therapist's hands, so that we could, give it like a manual to people, so that they could use it. They could get a professional to come in and do the work instead of us having to be there all the time.
So then what services did you guys offer? And was it a shelter? Was it a center? What kind of environment?
No, we worked with the local municipality, and they gave us like a space, and basically what we ran was like 5 day workshops. So it was like intensive 5 day workshops for kids, like Syrian refugee children, ages 7 to 12, and they were divided into three age groups, and there were like 20 kids per group. And basically we ran like an intensive, all day course that they would rotate between the music sessions, the art sessions, and the dance sessions. And the three of us, we worked with them for 5 days, and uh, then they graduated that program basically. But I mean, there was a lot of other stuff, like the organization did a lot of follow up on them and stuff like that, and the program is still going today actually as well. And I've also done that's this like a long time ago actually. But I've also worked with Rohingya refugees as well, and also refugees in Germany as well too. I mean, this problem is everywhere, and there's really millions of refugees, and it's really crazy to take in the problem and stuff.
So then, would you call what you offered more of a psychoeducational series where you basically were empowering the child to utilize these skills independently?
Yeah, like psychosocial support for them. Yeah, and I mean, es- especially the children really need it. The children really need it and stuff. I mean, it's a terrible situation to, be a refugee and stuff. And I'm sure you know about the details about it and everything. But like they face a lot of difficult obstacles, including like discrimination in the host communities and stuff. Like in Turkey, for example, like Turkey welcomed Syrian refugees with open arms at first, for the first few years, and then the research shows that refugees usually, a large portion of them end up staying in the host countries. But the problem is that the host countries, it's a big difficulty for the infrastructure in the support countries. So then, the locals start turning against the refugees and stuff, and it can blow up into a huge problem for them.
Did you see that happen in Syria while you were there, or did you more hear about it?
I've heard about it through the news and stuff more than hearing about it like firsthand. Um, but I know that it happens for sure. And also the difficult thing is that like a majority of the refugees may be really moral law abiding citizens and stuff. But if just one person does something bad, it can be reflected on the whole community, and that's
Yeah,
that's really terrible.
I know we've seen that, in a global situation where people are made scapegoats to, aha, I told you. And it's unfair and it puts the migrant in a situation of utter perfection, where I have to be better, stronger, faster than the average person because I'm trying to earn my place in this country. And it's a very difficult situation to be in, considering what these people are bringing with them. So, in terms of what you saw the kids presenting, what kind of psychosocial or emotional needs did you observe?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was really interesting because the program in the, we did, I think we did three programs all together as a team, with the three of us as the art therapist, dance therapist, and music therapist. But we did three programs, so we had like 60 children, and then followed by another 60 children a few months later, and then another 60 children a few months later after that. Um, but in all cases, it was really interesting because the children had like they there were they were all affected differently by the scenarios and stuff. Like some presented symptoms of withdrawal, some presented with symptoms of hyperarousal, and some were okay, some were not okay, some were attention seeking, some really burst out. Uh, but between all the groups, the one thing that really struck me was that from the first day of the program until the last day, there was such a big transformation. Um, like in the first day of the program, the children were all very silent, and it's natural because they don't know the environment and stuff, and you have to establish like that it's a safe space. That's really important. Um, but then once they realized it's a safe space and they learned how to move and draw and play music, and so many of them played instruments for the first time of their lives. And I brought like my guitar to the sessions, but I also had percussion instruments like darbukas, which are like small Turkish instruments. I'm looking if I have one nearby. I don't. Um, but then I also used like water bottles as well, because I'm just trying to prove a point that like you don't have to have big expensive instruments just to play music. You can use buckets or water bottles or tables or sticks or whatever, your body, your voice and stuff. So that was like something really important that I tried to impart to them during the music sessions. Um, but it was also interesting that like we tried to we followed the SPR model, which is the skills for psychological recovery model. and basically there are like different themes that you work on. So like for each day we worked on like a different theme, like problem solving, or like discovering your emotions and leadership skills and stuff like that. So we had like different activities and stuff for each day, themed with like as a theme throughout the program. And as I said, the kids really, by the fifth day of the program, they really were like bouncing off the walls and stuff. And we got reports back from parents that the kids, some of the parents said like, "Oh, what did you do to my children?" They came back different people.
Well, in that sense, it's a success, really, because you want them to be able to go back to their original personality. And you're right, their trauma and grief and stress impacts us very differently. And there's no, formula for how everybody's going to react, and therefore no formula for how you, the therapist, can respond. But it's wonderful to hear that you guys had a very much a program about discovering their agency, their role in coping with their situation. Because you're right, the role of the therapist in that setting is not to be the solution and everything is okay because I'm here now. Because at some point, these children are going to either go on to another living scenario or to another country, and they'll need to take those skills with them. So, would you say that music was distinctly different than the other services that you offered there, or would you say that you were all kind of aligned in your approach?
I mean, we worked really well as a team, and like we consulted each other. We had volunteers and we had translators as well, because there was also a language barrier because the children are speaking Arabic, and very few of them knew Turkish, and none of them knew English, or like just one or two knew English, like a little bit. So we were working with translators, but like I tried to minimize my use of translators during the sessions. But I think, if I'm trying to compare music therapy, like music sessions, with the art and the dance sessions, because they're all very distinct and very powerful in their own way, and they all really support each other really well too. um, I think that in the music sessions, it allowed them um, to develop some kind of like social cohesiveness. That's the way I thought of it, because like in the art sessions, it's more like individualized. Like they're allowed to paint their inner world on the canvas or the paper or whatever, and get their pictures out. And their pictures were really horrible, by the way. I mean, we're talking about like, you know, you know, just really like war related stuff and really bad imagery. And the dance sessions, were also totally different too, because um, yeah, trauma gets locked in the body, and that's a real thing. They say like the body never lies, like the body shows everything, and that's really true. And yeah, if I compare it to like the music sessions and stuff, like I really think that out of everything, the music sessions maybe allowed them to sync together as a class, or as a
Yeah,
unit
the
or something.
collaboration, just collaborate more.
We did songwriting and stuff with them too, and that was really special, and they really enjoyed it. Some, like I have, during my songwriting activity, like it's a really democratic process, and like some children speak up more than other children, of course, but I try to get everybody's voice in if possible. And then I kind of take their collaborative, like yes or no, or like their affirmation or negative responses, as like guiding method for developing the song.
Well, I'm assuming that the songwriting process did have to happen with the interpreter, because I couldn't even imagine facilitating the in-depth conversations you would need without some sort of language assistance.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true. I mean, interpreter did play like an important role in that. And then I made it my role to sing the song in Arabic. So we kept it short and stuff. Like we always kept the songs short, and then tried to have like four lines for a verse, and then like one powerful chorus. And then we sang it in Arabic with them and stuff, and they loved it and they enjoyed the process a lot. And I always say like nowadays, we're really used to consuming, 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 but we rarely produce things. You know, people aren't always in a position to produce things, so it's something extra special for them to be able to produce something like that.
Absolutely. So the last note related to the language, we have had those same conversations related to this Ukraine response, where it's like we want to be able to send materials in languages that the children will understand. It's not about me coming in with my mindset of this is what I know, so you should know it too. But that is a big debate in migrant care as to should the goal be to help them acclimate to their new environment or to acknowledge the culture and the heritage that they're bringing with them. Like, what are your thoughts on which one would you go with, or which one did you go with when you did this program?
That's a really good question. Um, like we focused on their culture and their heritage in throughout our program mostly, and we've repeatedly focused on their, like when we worked in Bangladesh with Rohingya refugees, we also focused on their culture and their what they're bringing to the table rather than the Rohingya refugees being in Bangladesh and running away from war and terror and all this stuff. Uh, as you know, the evidence shows that music that's familiar is the most effective, and there's a reason for that. It's because it's something that's focused on their own culture and heritage and stuff. Um, but of course, at the same time, they have to have some adaptive skills to acclimate to the new environment that they're in and stuff. I mean, that's a really tricky question. And to be honest, from my perspective, our program was short. I mean, we're talking about really severe, deep trauma that will literally take years and years, if not a lifetime, to recover from. Some people won't recover from it. And, I always speak about this concept of resiliency and, how it's different for everybody. Like, somebody, you swear at them one time and they can be, remember it for the rest of their life. Another person will brush it off, so everybody has a different tolerance to trauma and, things that create it. So,
But that's a really good thing to consider, that in when you're facing or when you're working with children that are just arriving into a refugee or an asylum seeking situation, the goal is not to alleviate them of their trauma. As you said, it's a process that takes years and it looks different for everybody. So in the immediate reception, the goal is really psychological first aid. You're trying to, like you said, assure them that through music and through all of these experiences, you're acknowledging what they're bringing and giving them at least some tools to take with them for the rest of their journey.
yeah.
So it's not, I mean, I do think that sometimes we have this idea of, oh, music can heal and music can heal the traumas of war. And yes, that is true, but it's not a one and done type of thing. It is about the habitual engaging in it.
Yeah. And also, it's really important to give them like homework and stuff that they work on it themselves. If you even have just one session with, you're so right, like we like to think of it as like, oh, it's the most powerful thing in the world and stuff, and it can heal everything and everyone, but yeah, it takes effort from them, and they have to put their effort into it and energy and stuff. And also I want to say something quick about triggering activities too, because when I was working with the Syrian refugee children, I used to do like some warm up activities at the beginning of each session so that we could get them warmed up and stuff. And I did like a vocal warm up, and I used to go like, oh, and then take a deep breath, ah, right? Uh, Sorry, I've been sick the past week. But the problem was not the going up, but the children. Some of them got, yeah. This was one of the first sessions that I did, and the children remarked that they got scared because of the going down sound. Because why? It sounds like a plane dropping a bomb or flying past, right? And I would have never thought that something like that would trigger the children, but it did. And that was really an eye-opening experience for me.
It's heartbreaking, but at the same time, it just goes to show you why these types of programs are important for this population. In a verbal counseling session, it's very rare that you'll get to have that experience of being able to process and identify a feeling through sound variants, for example.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, what you're right. While it is very triggering, it's also the first step in them acknowledging that that could be a trigger for them, and then allow them to process that later on.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, I'm personally a believer that music therapy should be a standard of care in migrant care and in asylum work. What are your thoughts on that? And if so, what's your elevator pitch to why music therapy needs to be present in these settings?
I definitely think it should be included in migrant care for sure. I mean, it offers, a nonverbal way of, outpouring emotions and stuff. And I mean, the children really need that, and a good therapist can engage them in a level of play, which is something that children, refugee children, sorely need. I mean, they've been exposed to such a harsh reality of the world, and some of them have lost, brothers, sisters, fathers, mothers, limbs, other things. I mean, it's really crazy and messed up, and it's such a hard side of reality. But at the end of the day, they're just children, and these kind of creative arts therapies can really help to facilitate their playful side, imagination, and the thing is, this the playful side is also linked to other, more response like decision making and stuff, and like I always, we these programs are based on cognitive behavioral techniques, and also what was it, the when you placed an importance on the making choices. Yeah, like for example, it's important that they understand how they're making choices and what kind of choices are available to them in their lives, and how they respond to things and stuff. And all of these things are interconnected and stuff. So
And
like,
you bring up an incredible point of play is not just play because it's fun. For a child, play is how they learn to develop and how they become adults. So you're
yeah,
right, it leads to decision making, to cognitive flexibility, to emotional processing and regulation. I'm not bringing in an ukulele into the setting because I want them to learn how to play the instrument. I'm bringing it so they'll connect with their peers, so they'll express their emotion, so they learn how to comfort themselves if they're alone in the middle of the night with their ukulele. It's always about the what does it really do for them, not the I can play do re mi on my scale. You know what I mean?
yeah. But I think that people don't like that's where music therapists need, we this is not a new problem, like if I ask you, what do you know what a doctor does, you can say yes. If I ask you, do you know what a nurse does, you can say yes. Do you know what a psychologist does, you say yes. But what does a music therapist do? To the lay person, they usually don't know. And that's what we've been all, every person in the music therapy community has been, campaigning to change and stuff. And uh, it's interesting because it's been what, 2008 since I graduated, and we're all still trying. It's the same battle. And despite all this research that's been produced, yeah, there's literally thousands of research articles from so many prolific music therapists and this and that, and everybody has shown that there's a link between music therapy and positive growth in various areas and stuff, physical and cognitive and emotional areas and stuff. But it's so interesting because it's still not fully supported and recognized everywhere.
Yeah.
That's
So
it's
we'll
really
definitely
amazing.
see a change in that, I think. And I think events like today and getting things on social media allow more people to access the information. Because if you think about it, how would the average person ever know that there's a music therapist in Turkey providing care in a refugee program?
Yeah,
We need
sure.
to get more people knowing about these things through social media, and that's why we're encouraging everybody to share this live, share this video, because people should know about the amazing things that we provide. We only hear sometimes about the horrible, atrocious things and the tragedies of our world, but we rarely hear about the people that are bringing light like you. And so I'm really thankful that you took the time to join us today. Do
Yeah,
you have
thank you
any
so
final
much.
comments?
Not really. Thank you so much, Marlon. It's really special of you to invite me on the show and stuff. And what you're doing is fantastic and stuff. And Also I just want to, just as a point, like, I know this is between Russia and Ukraine and stuff, but Russians are not bad people and stuff like that, and Ukrainians are not bad people, and there's nothing say good and bad about this. It's all just you know BS politics and stuff, and at the end of the day, everybody really wants the same thing. They want a roof over their head. They want safety. They want food on their plate. They want to have access to the, things that everybody has access to. And I think really that's about the systemic, stuff. So if the world, if different countries around the world can kind of, gather their resources in a more beneficial way. I mean, it's very utopic, but if that's possible, maybe we can help a lot more people actually.
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest takeaway is that the migrant refugees situation has never, it's not new. It's always been there and it's always going to be there. And so we all have to be a little bit more aware that while this may be the crisis that we're focused on right now, the Syrian one was the one we were focused on before, there will always be people that need our support. And I think what we need to adapt is our mindset about how we receive migrants and how we treat them when they arrive in the country.
And can I add something else too? The and also those crises are still going on. So also there's another aspect to that too. Like the media may be focusing today on the Ukrainian crisis, but the Syrian crisis is still going on, and there's still the Rohingya stuff is going on, and other stuff are happening too. So like, yeah, I know the media is biased and everything like that, but just I want to also put it out there that the other stuff is still happening. They haven't disappeared. So
I know we'll have to have another live later on as to how somebody can really provide help and provide support looking at a global picture, really, because that it would be a whole separate conversation and a whole separate live.
yeah,
But thank you so much, Danny, for taking the time. And thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Stay tuned to learn more from Danny. Follow him on his social media if you want to learn more. And definitely stay tuned for more ukuleles for Ukraine, because while we understand that this is not the only crisis out in the world, this is the one that we're responding to right now. And so we want to make sure that we respond to one and then focus on the other as we're able to.
thank you so much, Marlon. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.